Okay, hi everyone. My name is Drew Scrimshaw. A little background on myself. Oh, I'll go back a slide. Okay. I've worked here at Giphy in IT for a few years now, and I'm now a member of the Innovate team. So some of you might actually recognize me from the IT help desk. Welcome to my Finding Your Way Around Office 365 session. Okay, so the Office 365 suite is actually very similar to what you're probably used to using on your desktop. Would be in your standard Office suite, so Word, PowerPoint, Excel. The main difference between this and your standard Office suite is Office 365 has an emphasis on accessibility, so you can use it completely in a web browser. You don't need to have desktop apps installed, and you don't have to worry about any of that. How to access Office 365? You can access Office 365 on the web by going to office.com, or if you're a member of the Giphy organization, you can go to office365.grimsby.ac.uk. And when it comes to licensing, Office 365 is actually free to all educators and students that are in the education system. So it just depends if your organization has set you up with it, but it is something that is possible and should be free. And now there's quite a lot of apps on Office 365, so I'm just going to cover the basic Office 365 apps that you should have included. Depending on your license, you'll have different apps. So some people will have more, some people have less, but this is about a typical showing. So I'll just talk you through some of the apps in a bit more detail. So there's a lot of stuff on this slide, but I'll just condense it for you. So obviously we've got the Outlook app, which you're all used to anyway. Everyone's used Outlook, I should think. It's just your emails. You've got OneDrive, which is where all your files get stored online. So it's when you're here in the cloud, OneDrive is a cloud-based storage system. And then you've got your standard Office apps, so like your Word, Excel, PowerPoint. There's SharePoint, which is, think of it as OneDrive, but for your department. So if you work at Giphy, you'll be quite familiar with that because everyone's got a SharePoint and a lot of them are actually mapped now. And then there's Microsoft Teams, which you should all be familiar with because we're using that at the minute. And that allows you to chat and call colleagues, as well as setting up events like today and calls that people can join, stuff like that. Sway is one I haven't personally got much experience with, but from what I've looked into, it's very similar to PowerPoint, but it focuses more on video and picture content. And then we've got Forms, which lets you create surveys, quizzes, and polls. The booking system, that's an interesting one. This one lets you create like a system for appointments. So if you wanted someone to make an appointment with you before coming to see you or anything like that, you can make a front end and people can say, I want to see this person at this time. And it will fill out a calendar all nicely for you. We've got Yammer, which I'm sure some of you are experienced with. It's like a social media platform, but for work. So it's almost like a work Facebook, but a lot more official. And the calendar, that one's quite self-explanatory as well. It's the calendar, so that'll let you, it'll populate with appointments, meetings, and you can add stuff on there yourself. So that was just a quick overview of all the apps. So what I'll do now is I'll just show you how to get to Office 365, and then I will give you a quick demonstration of navigating through Office 365, although I won't delve into everything because there is quite a lot on there. So once you get to Office 365, so as you can see, I can just go to office365.grimsby.ac.uk, which is a mouthful, or office.com. That'll work as well. and it will bring us to that page like what we just saw. So down your left hand side here, you'll see all of your apps. You've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and they're all listed down the left here. A bit of a nicer way to see it is if you click on what we call, well, in IT we used to call it the waffle. It's this little grid with 9 little squares in. So if you click on that, it'll bring it up in a bit of an easier to read way. And there's also an all apps button that'll list absolutely everything. So if there's an app you can't find or it's missing, chances are it's in this all apps section. So when you do open one of these applications, so if I open Word, for example, it's going to look very similar to what everyone's used to on their computer. So you've even got some templates here, and you can click to create a new document. What is a bit different is you've got recommended files and recents. Although you do have recents on the desktop version, but recommended and stuff like that. This is all on SharePoint and in the cloud. It's telling you might want to open this. But if we just open a new blank document now, so once it loads, it might take a second. So as you can see, it's very similar to what you're used to. It's just completely running in the web browser, and it'll let you, as you can see, it's actually saved already up here. And as you type, so if I just put some stuff in there, say saving, and it should change to saved again. So this is one of the benefits of using Office 365 is the fact that it's saving to the cloud immediately. So like we talked about OneDrive earlier, that's where all your files are being stored. So this Word document is saving to OneDrive as we speak, and we didn't have to do anything. One thing I would say to do is to rename your document, because sometimes you see people will have document 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 200 or something like that, and it's just because they haven't done the first step of just going up here and naming it like testing, something like that, and then that rename will get saved as well. And if you ever want to head back, um, so if you press the little waffle again, or this grid here, I've got all the other apps, so at any time you can switch to the other app, or if you click Office 365, it'll bring you back to that home page. Same on here, no matter what you go into. And as you can see, that file I've just created, actually, it's popped up in the recents on the home page. So you know exactly where it is. And at any stage, you can click this home button here, or your grid, and then Office 365, and it'll take you home. So you can't really get lost. Just make sure to check at the top left. So I'll just show you another one. So say PowerPoint. Like I say, I won't dig through every single application because there's quite a lot on here. This is just to get a basic grasp on things. And like with Word, it's very similar to what you'd get on your desktop. You've got your recommended files, you've got your templates. You've got all your menus and everything you'd be used to, even with your desktop version. But as you can see, it's just named it Presentation 1. So always make sure to click up there and rename it first thing you do, and then you won't forget. So just go back here. So we've gone through a bit of the basic navigation. I don't know if anyone has anything they'd like clarifying or any questions about what we've gone over so far. If not, that's fine. I'll continue. All right, I'll keep going. So what we touched on earlier is with OneDrive. That's what I'll talk about now. So saving to the cloud. The benefits of saving to the cloud are that all of your files are all safe. They're stored off of your device locally. And like I said, using Office 365, every single file or new document you create is automatically stored up there. Just always make sure you name it so you know where it is. The OneDrive app is where you'll find all of your new files. So think of it as your filing system. And I'll show you that now. So we'll have a look through the OneDrive app on there. So like I said, if we click on the grid and go back to Office 365, what you might have happen is these tabs will pile up, but you can just close these because like I said, it saves after every alteration. And then you should have your OneDrive cloud. That's what I just clicked on there on the left hand side. Or if you do click in your grid, you've got your OneDrive there. And so just at the bottom here, you'll see a bunch of test files and stuff like that I've created. So that presentation we just made, presentation one, is actually in the root folder of OneDrive. That testing document, it's down here as well. And you can create folders to organize it. I know mine looks like a bit of a mess, but you can create new folders in here as well, or even new documents straight away if you don't want to go through the apps first. So if I just do that, I've already done that from practicing, so I'll just call it test 2, and it'll pop up here. And as you can see, it's very much like what you're used to with your normal filing system. You can even drag and drop as well, so you can really organize your files this way, all stored safely in the cloud. Doesn't matter what happens to your computer. I know you don't want to, but even if you did drop your computer down the stairs or something like that, you wouldn't lose any of these documents. It just might be expensive. Okay, so one of the other things you can do with Office 365 from OneDrive, what I've just showed you, is you can actually share your files as well. And it's actually quite simple. All you have to do is, I'll show you this in a second as well, but I've got a snippet of it here. So like that's a PowerPoint that I had open and I've took a snippet of it. There's a little share icon, which looks like a box with a little arrow pointing out of it. You can click on that and you'll have a share box will pop up, and it'll ask for an email address to who you want to share it with, and you can even change the permissions on what you would want them to do. So let me just pop onto that and we'll have a look at that. So I just clicked back onto that OneDrive icon to get on here. And I'll just go into my testing folder, and when I hover over it, there's the icon there, so I can share that with other people. So if I click on this top section, this people you specify can view, if you click on that, you can actually allow editing. There's some more other settings if you want to be a bit more advanced with it, but the basics are if you want to share it with specific people or a specific person, click on that. You can click allow editing. You don't have to tick this, but if you do, you can kind of share a document and you can have a bit of collaboration with someone on it. So I'll apply that. And in here, all you have to do is type an email address. Oh, that's my wrong one. So I'll just type in my college email address. And there you go. I mean, it's a bit sad, but I'll share it with myself for testing. And then you can add a message. So you can just, hello, here's the file we discussed. And all you'd have to do is click send, and the recipient will get an email with a link. As soon as they click on that, it'll take them straight to the file, and they can start editing it, and you can work together with it, even leave notes and comments, stuff like that. So what I showed you so far has been the online version of Office 365. There is a desktop version of all of the Office 365 apps as well. There are slight differences between these apps, although the differences are only noticeable in really specific use cases. and the online versions will be more than sufficient for most students and staff. Um, Another one of the kind of benefits and drawbacks to each. The online version does require a network connection to be used, but at the same time, as long as you've got a network connection, all your files are safe and stored on the cloud. If you do use Office 365 on the desktop without a network connection, all of your files are being stored locally, which is best to avoid. But if you're in a pinch, you can save them locally and sync them later with OneDrive or upload them later. It's just a good option to have. Although try to stick to the online versions where possible. It's just a lot safer. And installing the desktop versions of Office is actually quite easy. There is just an install Office button on the Office 365 homepage I showed you earlier. So I'll just demonstrate that now for you. So if I go back onto my onto here, go back to Office 365 like we talked about earlier. There is just a big install Office button here. This is also anyone that's got a license for it. You just get all of the applications on your desktop, like what you're used to. It will ask you to sign in, so you sign in with your organizational account, and it'll sync as well with your OneDrive, providing you're connected to the network. So if I just click on this here, Office 365 apps, we've got this pop up here. So at this point, Windows will pretty much start directing you on how to do it. So I won't go into it in too much detail, but you may need assistance from an IT administrator if depending on how locked down your device is. I know at Giphy, if you even want to run an installer like this, you might have to get an administrator to put in their administrator username and password. Yeah, but as it says, all you need to do is run that file that's downloaded here and start the installation process. It might take a little while. It can take up to half an hour because it's quite a big program. But once you've done that, you'll have them all on your desktop the way you used to. So like what I've got pinned down here, Word and stuff like that. And I'll just launch this now. So just see it said Office 365 just as it loaded up. So one of the things that you can do because it's synced, so I'm signed in up here. It actually lets you save straight to your OneDrive from here, and save to your SharePoint if you're a member of a SharePoint. You can also save it locally if you click Browse. It will let you put it in your desktop or your documents if you don't have a network connection, but like we said, it is best practice just to try keep with OneDrive really. So I'll just close that down. So I know that was a bit quick, but it was just a quick look over all the apps. I didn't want to dig into it too much and give anyone a headache. Well, thank you all for attending this session. I hope you found some of this useful. If anyone has any questions or anything, I don't mind if they want to ask that now. If not, that's fine with me.